It's taken more than £7 million in almost 8 years, but tomorrow she sets sail looking as magnificent as she did when first launched in 1860. Peter Holland has compiled a special report.
In her day, HMS Warrior was the ultimate deterrent. No one had ever seen anything like her. She was the biggest, the fastest, the most heavily armoured ship the world had ever known. So powerful, the threat was enough. She never needed to fight. No one dared challenge her. Although she revolutionised the design and technology of warships, making all the wooden hulls that had gone before her obsolete, she ended up forgotten as a floating oil jetty in Wales, until Hartlepool restored her to her rightful place in history.
I think the main reason is that it's a deterrent, a massive new step, a new invention. Like the nuclear bomb, you cannot uninvent it. Now, once you invent a thing like this, for a few, maybe months or years, it's the news, it's the headlines, everyone knows about it. But sooner or later, someone says, well, if it can be done, let's see how we can improve. So the next ship, bigger guns. The next ship, thicker armour, better engines, steam pressure increases. Within 4 or 5 years, having shown the way, she's hoisted her own petard. She's forgotten. Everyone now is looking at the ships that are twice as big as this, much better than this. But until Warrior came along, this was the ship that showed it could be done.
She was towed to Hartlepool almost 8 years ago. No one then quite understood the magnitude of the task ahead. She was a mess. There were 250 tons of concrete on the upper deck. Road drills were needed to break it up. It was to become the greatest ship restoration programme ever undertaken. Each hour of labour was more than matched by detailed research. Luckily, the logbook of a 14-year-old midshipman, Henry Murray, on the Warrior in 1862, was found in Admiralty archives.
The great lesson we've learned is not to take everything to bits, but to leave some of the original part of the ship intact, because ship repair training is to take a ship, to bits as though it's going to go to sea and got to last another 10 years. Whereas inside the ship here, we know that we can leave some of the original fabric of the ship intact, like restoring an old building.
More than 100 years of alterations and additions had to be removed without destroying what was left of the original. And then hundreds of replicas rebuilt. Everything from the mangles and washing tubs to the galley stove, which catered for more than 700. When launched in the Thames in 1860, she stunned the world. 380 feet long, masts reaching 180 feet. But her fame as the pride of the British fleet was to last for only about 10 years. Her revolutionary concept was soon improved on newer ships, and in 1883 she was withdrawn from sea service. Twice she was put up for sale as scrap, but nobody wanted her. Her last naval role was as a training vessel, and then got the inglorious name of Hulk 77, as a fuel pontoon off Milford Haven. But beyond the horizon, in Hartlepool, the ship's trust was to muster all hands on deck to preserve her for generations to come. Many of the workers were brought off the dole under the government's community programme. Some were redundant shipyard workers like Harry Bogey.
At first, with finishing at the shipyard, we presumed that was the end of shipbuilding. And it was something out of the blue when the Warrior came to start work on ships again,
What was it like when you first saw her?
Just a heap of metal, really. That's all it was. There was nothing on the deck. It was just a flat surface and just all rusty, and it didn't look like a ship, really.
One ex-sailor who's kept a close interest in the work is Prince Philip. He's been on board twice, describing her as unique. A fully rigged sailing ship where the crew lived in conditions similar to Nelson's day, but with steam-driven engines, supplied by 10 coal-fired boilers and producing at full speed more than 5,500 horsepower. She was the first warship capable of carrying more than 24 of the heavy 68-pounder guns. The cannonballs were muzzle-loaded, but she also had 10 new breech-loading guns, made by Armstrongs on Tyneside. These fired shells. The guns are exact replicas made of fiberglass, part of modern technology that's been mixed with the traditional skills. Now, as a tourist attraction, safety features are hidden.
Well, the main problem was to hide the cables that just weren't there in 1860, and that was the biggest problem. Climbing through tanks and bulkheads, squeezing through in water, very cold weather, trailing cables behind me, and then bringing them up behind the wood cladding to the lights, each light and fire alarm system, loudspeakers, TV. So everything, you can't see a cable anywhere when it's finished.
It's taken more than £1 million a year to preserve her since she was towed to Hartlepool in September 1979. And tomorrow she'll be towed out again, this time to Portsmouth. Many of the workers will sail with her for the finishing touches at the Naval Heritage Centre. There, it's been forecast she'll attract more visitors than HMS Victory and the Mary Rose. But behind, she'll leave a legacy, millions of pounds worth of work. HMS Foudroyant, an 1817 frigate, arrives next month to keep the shipwrights' jobs going. And she's the first of 4 other warships over the next few years heading for Hartlepool, which is now set to establish itself as a ship's restoration centre.
Yes, we're confident that we've got work till 1991, which is good by any shipyard standards. And in our particular specialist corner of the market that we've created, it's remarkable.
I don't personally think I could bear to watch her go, because she's quite a landmark here, and the people who've made her more special are the workforce. They're such a happy crew, and we're going to be sorry when she goes.
Most people who come on board it don't believe what we say when they come, but once they step on board, they say, I'm staggered, I'm shattered, she's marvellous, she's wonderful, she's huge, far bigger than they expected. The total impression it literally overwhelms people, and for many, many years she'll stand alongside Victory and Mary Rose very proudly, I'm sure.
Peter Holland reporting on HMS Warrior, which leaves Hartlepool tomorrow.